There's no really one message, nor should there be.
I mean, I've met a lot, as you know, on my journey.
Mm-hmm.
I've met a lot, and there's been so many different messages.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
It's been a lot to take in.
Yes.
Did it help me? Where did I stand as the receiver of all that?
Mm-hmm.
A struggle still.
Mm-hmm. Why?
Well, because, yeah, why? Why struggle still?
Sure. No, let me paint a picture here for you. So you're doing this work, interviewing and talking to a lot of different channelers, but other humans as well,
Yes.
who are doing the spiritual work. You're right in the middle of it. You're right in the midst of it. And you're helping to communicate messages, helping to distribute them, learning for yourself. But what happens sometimes when you're right in the middle? What if, think of a healer doing all this healing work, they're right in the middle of all this. What happens to them? They get sick.
They get burnt out, I wanted to say.
They get sick.
Yeah.
They absorb the energies of the ones they're healing. Not all of them, but a vast majority of them. They assimilate, they soak it in. So here you are in the middle of all of these channeled messages, and the entities and the audiences, all who are going through their struggles with awakening. What are you going to do? You're going to take on their issues. You're going to live them out, act them out as your own. There is a part of you that feels that's necessary for compassion and empathy, that you have to be in the midst of them to understand them, to be an appropriate painter of the scene, communicator of the message. So you've taken on a lot of that. And you know what? You know what percent is actually your crap? Take a guess.
My brain's so fried right now. A low percentage?
Give me a number.
I don't know. I'm so my brain.
We have a saying here in the Crimson Circle. You could say anything you want, but you don't say "I don't know," because then you have to go sit in the toilet for a little while.
And wear the hat.
We'll dispense with that, but it's much better to say "I've yet to realize the answer." Meaning that it's coming. Just make it up.
How much is my crap?
How much of all this burden, struggle, pain, everything else that you're feeling, how much of it is yours, is Kevin's?
I want to say quite a high percent.
Why do you want to say that? Because it feels good, because it's like, makes you feel a little worthy. It makes you feel like then you're really experiencing something and doing something, and it makes for good drama. Literally, you've got 2.8% that is actually yours. The rest is not. And what it was, 97.2% is not yours. Is not yours. So you're taking all this on the behalf of all the seekers and all the ones coming into their realization. It's kind of fun for a while, but then you realize, I'm tired of this. It affects you physically, mentally, and everything else. And you say, I don't have to take on their stuff. I can be aware of their stuff. I can be very observant and very in tune with it, but it's not mine. You didn't bring a lot of stuff into this lifetime from a spiritual perspective, from an awakening into mastery perspective, but yet you're playing a great game, an amusing game. Just take a moment here. So take a good deep breath and feel how it's actually the master playing the game. And it's a master game. Because if you could be such a master that you could immerse yourself into everybody else's issues, take them on and feel them, to become a better reporter in a way, or at least be more in the whole story, what an amazing mastery that is. But then you snap out of the human condition that says, I've got all these issues and problems. You just snap out of that. You let all that go. Realize it's not yours. It was fun playing with, but it's not yours. You take a deep breath and you go, that was amazing, but maybe we try something else now. Maybe I approach all this work that you're doing, a lot of work, and not a lot of money, I don't see. Not a lot at all. So you're taking on their money issues, their collective money issues. So you say, let's shift. Let's get out of that.
Desperate for that.
Oh, and it's so easy. Let's get out of that now, because I think I can be in better service by not carrying that burden. I can be in better service by being the master, by having the clarity, by letting energy serve me. Then suddenly you're not running around making films about channelers, entities. Suddenly you're making films about those who really have finally allowed their mastery, that are letting energy serve them, and you're making the master you, or you're now filming and recording the life of other masters. It's a great shift.
And some of them may be motivational speakers as well. You know, there's
Could be.
masters in all sorts of disguises.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the master that's, you know, had a terrible family and a tragedy and set some foundation up at the end of it and come through the other side.
Yeah. But the bottom line is, for you or for many of those watching this, these issues really aren't yours, but you take them on. You live them as they were your own. You almost have a passion for them, and you feel that maybe you weren't really doing your job if you're not feeling the pain of others. But let's shift all that. Let's move into a whole new era. You can still have compassion and awareness, and you can actually do more to help those people who are ready make shifts within themselves by being the master rather than the servant.
Anyone watching this as well, and my confusion in this moment with the master is, okay, so I'm not going to plan and think out. Tomorrow I'm going to open my front door. I mean, I've got to go plan because I've got to go see someone tomorrow for an interview, right? There has to be some planning, but is it planning without expectations?
Yeah, open-end planning, and you know the human still fights for their plans and all the rest of that. One of these days you'll totally let go of that, and I know there's an obligation to go see somebody tomorrow, but what if something changed it so the appointment wasn't going to happen? What does the human do?
I'm cool with that.
Okay, you wouldn't try to fill it in with something else.
Oh. Maybe,
probably. Yeah.
It's even that letting go.
The master goes down to the local coffee shop and gets a really good coffee, maybe gets a newspaper, not to get in the drama, but to actually observe and laugh at the headlines. Goes, finds a nice park bench, and just watches how everything comes to her, or him. You know, that's really the way it is. Everything comes to you. The master just every morning gets up without a plan. A lot of mornings goes and sits on the park bench and watches how everything starts unfolding, coming to the master, versus getting up in the morning, going through your old routine, getting in the car, having to go someplace, having goals and meetings and agendas all day long, and calling that life. I'd rather do it like the master, sitting on the park bench and waiting for everything to come to me.
But then they may say they enjoy that.
They may, but I hear otherwise from humans who call me up on the celestial hotline and can't stand their lives anymore, want change, are totally unhappy, are breaking down, who now are resorting to these depression medications. Yes, there are some humans who may be enjoying that, but the ones I work with are really ready to let go. The reason why I bring this up is because, well, I'll talk about it more in just a moment, but this whole thing of pronos that I talked about recently, New Earth and the Old Earth are not going to melt, ever, ever, ever. It's good news and bad news, I guess, for those of you who love this planet, who really helped create this planet. It's kind of sad. And it's like, oh, we thought we'd pull it together. It's not going to happen. The good news is that you are now free to roam about the universe. You are now free of the responsibility, of the weight and the burden of having to try to bring this together. You're now free to create your own place. You're now free to be in Theos and be here at the same time. But if you have the consciousness that, well, this life has got to be hard, if you cannot get off of that, it's going to be very hard to be Theos and Earth at the same time, to be human and divine at the same time. That's why I say, I am here. I am the master in my easy life, and coexisting all around me with those in their hard life. And it can be done. It's a bit challenging. It's going to be a bit challenging. Well, it's going to be really challenging in many ways. Being in an easy life, being at ease with yourself, no dis-ease, but at ease with yourself in a world all around you that's filled with 8s and 9s, hardness of life. There's going to be a tendency to want to go to them to make their life easy, because you're still spiritual social workers. I don't care what you say. You just can't help yourself. And that's when you cheat on me again. You say, well, I'm just going to help this person over here. You know, come back to compassion. True compassion is simply allowing, accepting at all levels of everybody, their journey, their challenges and their difficulties. They're going through their stories. That's all they're doing. And you don't have a right or a reason to change their story until they come to you and say, I need help. And then ask them 3 times. You really want to change? Well, I just need some money right now. And then things will be, do you really want to change? Well, no. So ask them 3 times if they really want help. If 3rd time they're still on their hands and knees crying, then jump in. In order to be here on this planet as an embodied master, realizing that it's an 8 in terms of hardship, and you can be at about a 1, maybe 2, go back and forth just for fun, relatively easy. You're going to feel kind of guilty that, gosh, they have it so hard and I have it so easy. I have a lot of extra ease that I'm just going to share with them. Stop it right then and there. It's going to be hard on you and harder on them. Allow yourself to have that easy life. And not that every moment's going to be easy. You're still going to have the and say, ooh, there is that part with the human with the and, but you're going to kind of start staying away from there more. But to be here as the easy master, things come to you easy. Money, energy, not necessarily people. Not necessarily people. That's not going to happen. But everything else, you with yourself, your design of your life, your appreciation of your beauty and the beauty all around you. That's important. So back to tighten that up a little bit. I mean, we got a lot of work ahead of us. Fun work, exciting work, going to be sad work at times, really sad at times. I'll talk about it in just a bit, but you find that the coexistence between suffering and freedom just isn't going to happen very well on this planet. Coexistence between those who are choosing pain and suffering, and they're choosing it. Nobody is inflicting it on them. Coexistence between suffering and pain, and then over here, freedom and what we call magic, it's going to be very difficult to coexist together. Feel into it for a moment. Here you have a tremendous number of people on the planet that are still buying into pain and suffering, limitation and lack. And then you have people who truly understand freedom. Freedom of energy, freedom of their perceived past, freedom to be who they are. It's a difficult coexistence. And basically, that's kind of why, first of all, you chose to stay, to perhaps cast a light on other humans, open up potentials, not to change their minds, not to convince them, but simply to illuminate potentials in their lives. So you chose to be here for that, to be that bringer of light, but not a instigator of light, not one who inflicts it on others, simply to be that light. That's why you're here. That's the reason at this time of machines. Now, to the human sitting here, it's like, wow, that's really incredulous. I mean, that sounds like a great big movie. It's not. I mean, it's real. I'd like you to take just a moment, dear human, who's playing the game that, well, that sounds too big. I mean, who, me? Maybe somebody else. Who, me? I really want you to feel into it for a moment and let yourself feel the master and the wisdom. Explain it to you a little bit in words that I couldn't possibly. Take a moment to just feel that. Why you are really here. For the human, it may seem like a very tall order, a big task. The human who still thinks that they need to work on things, the human says, I don't know if I can do that. And I want you to listen to a moment to the master within, to your wisdom within. And see if there's any familiarity with that. You're really here to be a light that shines upon potentials for other humans, especially at this time of machines. So the game that's played sometimes is, oh, I'm not quite ready for it. The game that's played is, this is too big, too tall of an order. The game that's played is, I'm doing this whole enlightenment thing and I'm working on it. And no, you're not. You're playing a game. A game, I'm working on my enlightenment. Well, first of all, as you know, I told you, the human can't possibly do it. So let that one go. Quit playing the game. It happens. It's a done deal. It's $1 million to whoever doesn't get their realization in this lifetime. You have to collect it on the other side, but it's a small detail. You're here to bring the Merlin to the planet, the light that simply illuminates potentials to humanity. That's it. Not to tell them where the potentials are, or not to tell them which one to choose, but just to illuminate potentials. That's it. And then perhaps what will occur with that is this thing that I said that I know some of you find a little rough, but suffering cannot coexist with freedom. Within a person, within a community, within a planet, it simply can't. It's one of the reasons why new earths have been created, where there is no suffering, there is no need for suffering, nor lessons. Just in case this earth chooses not ever to go by the way of freedom. Freedom is freedom with energy, freedom with oneself, the sovereignty. And I say this because it's going to be one of the most difficult things that you're going to encounter, that it's very difficult for these two things to coexist, suffering and freedom. Feel into that for a moment. How could you really be free if you're still suffering in your life? So, to the human I say, on this day of costumes and acting, stop acting so doubtful. Stop acting like the who, me aspect. Who, me? I'm realization, and bigger yet that I'm here to do this thing of bringing light to the planet. And we're not going to go around portal opening. We're not going to go around grabbing people off the streets and bringing them into to indoctrinate them. It's not that kind of thing. It's this simple. It is really this simple. told this to a group recently, to our threshold reunion, and love to share it with you. The master's office is a park bench and a cafe. That's it. That's your job. You go to the park bench, you go to the cafe or whatever. That's your office. You sit there, do whatever you want to do. Read, write a book, write a play, read the newspaper, maybe not. Whatever. Observe people. That's always a lot of fun. Just watch people, feel their energy. And some of you are, oh, I can't do that. That's judgmental. Hey, have fun with it. It's observation. No, you realize that as a master, it's really just observation. It's like, whoa, that person's got some big suffering issues, and this person is ready for a big change in their life. You don't necessarily go tell them, but you start to watch how everyone works with their personal energy. How everyone works and pretends it's not. That's the great observation. You watch other people dealing with their personal energy, because all energy is personal, and they pretend that it's not, that it's coming from somewhere else. What a great game that humans are playing. What a great thing to observe as a master. The master's office is the park bench or the cafe. Park bench when it's nice out, cafe when it's not. That's where you do your work. You sit on your ass, and do your work. And you don't force it. You're naturally luminous. And you just sit there, and that casts a light onto potentials. And you don't even have to know what the potential is for somebody. Actually, you probably don't want to know. But it just casts a light that shows them that there are alternatives. They do have choices. A lot of times they're going to choose to stay in the route of suffering, unfortunately, because it's kind of like so indoctrinated into the human consciousness right now. Feel into mass consciousness for a moment. Mass consciousness, it's like this great big cloud of all the human thoughts and experiences, of all the humans who are on the planet or ever have been. There's a lot of suffering in there. Now, yes, there's some joy, there's music, there's laughter, there's families, there's a lot of things, but there is a huge shadow of suffering in there. Suffering doesn't need to exist anywhere in the universe, anywhere in creation. Suffering doesn't need to be. But yet humans still choose that. It's been indoctrinated, hypnotized into them. And as a master, you're going to let go of the need to suffer for anything. You just take a deep breath and release that. There is no need to suffer whatsoever.